Chiefs' pursuit of Tyreek Hill reunion gets boost after top competitor backs off. A huge new report added even more momentum behind rumors the Kansas City Chiefs could complete a trade reunion with former star Tyreek Hill. It feels like Hill's days in Miami with the Dolphins are numbered. His comments at the end of last season suggested he would be open to a trade. He lost his spot as a team captain before the 2025 season after missing multiple practices and meetings last year. Plus, the team's 0-3 start is adding fuel to speculation about moving his contract sooner rather than later. Last week, reports emerged about rival teams inquiring about a trade, and the Chiefs and Steelers were the two most obvious destinations. Well, it seems Pittsburgh's interest has cooled in recent days. On Sunday, Mike Florio reported the Steelers have lost interest in a potential blockbuster trade. Tyreek Hill stats: 3 games, 15 catches, 198 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 13.2 yards per catch. Steelers have cooled off on Tyreek Hill trade due to suspension fears. The reason why? A personal conduct policy investigation was opened by the NFL recently after a new lawsuit from his estranged wife claimed there were 8 instances of domestic violence. While Hill has denied the claims, there is a very real chance it could lead to a suspension this year, making a trade before next month's deadline risky. The Steelers have always been a risk-averse franchise, so it should come as no surprise that they have gotten turned off by the latest Hill allegations. However, the Chiefs know the 8-time Pro Bowler very well. They drafted him in the 5th round of the 2015 NFL Draft and developed him into, arguably, the best wide receiver on the planet over the last decade. There is a comfort level they have due to that history and the strong infrastructure the organization has after becoming the league's latest dynasty team. Furthermore, they are 0-2. Travis Kelce is still declining, and their wide receiver room has been ravaged by suspensions and injuries. So Kansas City may be desperate enough to risk losing Hill for some games because of the massive impact he would bring on the field for much of the season. And if a top competitor is out of the running, a deal could end up being made at a price range they prefer. Arrowhead Stadium has seen its fair share of legends, but few players have ever electrified the Kansas City Chiefs' kingdom the way Tyreek Hill once did. From jaw-dropping punt returns to game-breaking deep shots from Patrick Mahomes, the man nicknamed Cheetah was more than just a receiver. He was a symbol of speed, unpredictability, and hope. When Hill left in 2022 for the sunny shores of Miami, Chiefs fans mourned. Though the franchise rebounded with Super Bowl success, something always felt missing. Mahomes was still brilliant. Travis Kelce remained unstoppable. But without Hill, the Chiefs' offense lacked its old sense of inevitability. Now, whispers of a reunion have turned into something louder, something real. And with a top competitor reportedly backing off from the chase, Kansas City's chances at reuniting with their lost superstar may be stronger than ever. The spark of a reunion. It began as speculation. Chatter on sports radio, rumblings from insiders, and Twitter threads filled with hopeful fans. Could Hill, the very man who once embodied the Chiefs' offensive identity, return to Arrowhead? For months, the rumor felt far-fetched. Miami had invested heavily in Hill, both in salary and scheme. His chemistry with Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle made the Dolphins one of the league's most dangerous offenses. Why would they ever let him go? But the NFL is a league of shifting sands, and Miami's cap crunch became harder to ignore. Add in Tua's looming contract extension, Waddle's own payday on the horizon, and the Dolphins' defensive investments, and suddenly the idea of moving Hill didn't feel quite as absurd. The competitor bows out. Enter the race for Hill's services. According to multiple reports, one AFC contender, widely believed to be the Baltimore Ravens, was seriously considering a push for Hill. The Ravens, fresh off deep playoff heartbreak, wanted to give Lamar Jackson one more weapon to elevate their offense. For weeks, they were labeled Kansas City's biggest threat in the Cheetah sweepstakes. Then, the update came. The competitor was backing off. Whether due to financial constraints, concerns about locker room chemistry, or belief in their current roster, Baltimore, or whichever team was in the hunt, had stepped aside. That left the Chiefs in pole position, their path to a Hill reunion suddenly far clearer. A familiar fit. Few reunions in sports make as much sense as Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes' arm and Hill's speed were once the NFL's most dangerous marriage. Together, they created moments that became instant folklore. The 3 RD and 15 Wasp play in the Super Bowl, The comeback against Houston in the playoffs, the countless bombs that turned impossible deficits into easy wins. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, the offensive architect, knows exactly how to deploy Hill's talents. And perhaps most importantly, Travis Kelce is still on the roster. With defenses constantly bracketing Kelce, Hill would once again find himself with opportunities to shred single coverage. It wouldn't be a reunion of nostalgia, it would be a rekindling of dominance. What Hill brings back to KC. Explosiveness. The Chiefs' offense, while still effective, has lacked a consistent deep threat since Hill's departure. Marquez Valdes-Scantling provided moments, but no one has replicated Hill's terrorizing speed. Defenses no longer fear the 70-yard dagger every time Mahomes drops back. With Hill, that fear returns. Spacing for Kelce. Even at 35, Kelce remains an elite tight end. But as defenses load up to stop him, his job gets harder. Hill's presence forces safeties deep, reopening the middle of the field for Kelce to feast. Confidence. Hill is more than just a weapon, he's a tone setter. His energy, swagger, and ability to score at any moment gives the entire team an extra edge. The price of speed. Of course, none of this comes free. Hill is still under contract and still one of the highest-paid receivers in the league. Miami wouldn't part with him lightly, and Kansas City would need to get creative. Speculation suggests the Dolphins would demand a package of high draft picks, possibly including a first-rounder and more. The Chiefs, who have leaned on drafting and developing young talent, would face a difficult decision. Sacrifice future building blocks for immediate firepower. For some, it's a no-brainer. As one Chiefs fan wrote online, "We already have Mahomes for the next decade. Who cares about 2027 draft picks if we can hang 3 more banners in the meantime?" Others, however, urge caution. "Don't mortgage everything for nostalgia," one analyst warned. The Chiefs have found ways to win without Tyreek. Don't overpay to get him back. The locker room angle. Would Hill slide seamlessly back into the Chiefs' culture? Most signs point to yes. His relationships with Mahomes and Kelce remain strong, and Andy Reid has always had a knack for handling personalities. In fact, Mahomes himself has fueled the speculation with cryptic comments. When asked about the possibility of a reunion, he smiled and said, "Tyreek's one of the best ever. Who wouldn't want to play with him again?" That kind of statement only adds gasoline to the fire.